As part of our series on where's the sweeping industry headed, we have someone that has somewhat experience in the sweeping industry, David Dyke, General Manager of Masco. And I think when you started, did your dad pick up one of your diapers and then change it and then put you back in the cab, or how did that work?
Yeah, he verified that the sweeper would pick it up, and then we were good to go. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, I obviously grew up in the business. Our company was founded in 1976, and I'm 46. So I started working around the shop in 8th grade, and worked there in the summers, and basically pestered my dad, and learned how to do some stuff in the shop when I wasn't causing trouble. And then as I got older, it got a little more serious. I think I built my first, I rebuilt my first used sweeper, when I was 16, and Dad had me put it on a trailer and drive it down to LA, and I delivered it and everything. So I kind of had that experience, already in high school. And then when I got out of high school, actually Dad helped me get my own route, and so I had my own little business. I think it was called PMC, like Property Maintenance Company, and I did landscaping and for a bunch of places. And I started sweeping. So I started out with my own sweeping accounts, and then I eventually moved on to being a subcontractor. And I had a lot of connections in the business, and so I also drove a mobile sweeper for chip seal jobs, and ended up doing highway paving jobs in the Local 3 union. And I also swept the Raider Stadium for a solid season after every home game. So I've earned a lot of paychecks driving a sweeper in a lot of different scenarios. And
you've worked with a lot of contractors, of course, with Masco sweepers. Where do you see that we're headed? Have you seen some changes in that amount of time?
Well, one of the things I've noticed about this week is I've had several paving companies come up to me and tell me that they're interested. They're looking for other services, sweeping being one of them. But, it's just this major change, which I don't think is too new. But, you're working with management companies who are managing properties and giving out these contracts, to do the sweeping or whatever kind of services are in parking lot or commercial parking areas. So from the people that I visit and the people that I talk to and that I've seen here, it seems like multiple services is something that seems to be a strong methodology of running the businesses. I've heard plenty of complaints about the sweeping industry over the years, and I'll have somebody tell me, well, this is so much better than sweeping, but if you don't do the sweeping, you don't get the job. And so I think it kind of goes all ways. It seems like I got people that say that sweeping is really great and all this, and then they do other jobs kind of because they have to. But multiple services in one business, it seems to be what appear to be very strong businesses to me, and also in sweeping companies, a couple of the companies that I've seen and worked with that seem to be doing pretty well and able to handle really what the industry is giving out. It's like they may not be different types of services, but they're different sweeping. So they might have street sweepers, construction sweepers, and parking lot sweepers. So it's a pretty prominent business, and they have they have a good shop, and they have a good foreman and mechanics, and so they can really handle all the stuff that the job doles out. But there's still.
It seems like that may speak to how little time we all have, and we want to make a phone call and get the job done.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Definitely a lot of people relying on the owner-operator still, though. There's a ton of those guys out there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. It was fun to, as a second generation person in manufacturing, it was really fun to hear that pedigree of how it got started. That's great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ranger.
So we're talking with Brian Bandura, and he's with Jack Doheny Companies, and he has been involved in this part of the business since 1984. So where do you think? You've seen some trends, and where do you think it's going?
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I think that I guess the biggest thing is the awareness in the sweeping industry today. It seems like years ago, street sweeping somewhat took a back seat to other municipal and contractor applications, and I see street sweeping really taking more of a center stage in the paving industry as well as municipalities. And with the amount of sweeping manufacturers that continue to jump in this industry, I think everybody recognizes that, and I think it's got a very viable future.
All right. Do you see, what, as a salesperson and anybody representing any company, I guess you could call that in any event, what do you see in like the infrastructure bill that may or may not happen, whether it's mostly contractors or, you know, a little bit government and a lot of contractors? Or
You know, I think the contractors are aware of the need for the infrastructure improvement and the funds that are going to be available for that. But I see everybody benefiting from this, from the future of you know, where the infrastructure rehabilitation is going to start taking place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we sure need it in this country, that's for sure. All right. Well, thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, Ranger.
So for our questions about where the sweeping industry is headed, we're talking to Debbie Giacchetta, and she was this year's National Pavement Exposition Sweeper Contractor of the Year, which is great, Giacchetta Sweeping in Utah. And you've been here 37 years, so where do you think the sweeping industry is headed, given what you've seen and what you know?
Well, I think there's I think it's a good time to be in. I think the environmental aspects are going to be good for the industry. I think the trucks are expensive, and hopefully prices can keep up with the newer updated trucks, which are better also for the environment. But I think in my business, I'm going to try and push that it's a positive environmental aspect. And I also am trying to push that, I mean, I want to pay my employees more, and I think that will help bring the business up too. I mean, give them a fairly livable wage, even the night guys. I mean, it's hard to keep people, to get the most out of people and pay a minimum amount, so. But I think it's a good time. I think the industry is strong, and I think it's a good industry to be in.
All right, thank you very much.